What I'm really wary of with Macaulay is ensuring that we've got the diagnosis correct, especially for that medial shin. So whenever there's a thought or a presentation of one-sided shin pain, my thought originally or straight away goes to, are we dealing with a bone stress injury here, or are we dealing with medial tibial stress syndrome? Hi guys, my name's Tim Pargeter. I am the owner and principal podiatrist of Foot and Ankle Albury. And I am working with Macca Jones on his path to the miler. Now, what the miler is, it is a 160 ultramarathon race. And he's having some shin and toe issues. So I thought that we would track the journey as he progresses through his running programming. We manage a few of those injuries, and what we're going to look to do through this series is have a look at his footwear, as well as managing any niggles along the way. So this is at the start of a very long journey as he builds up his capacity to get him into that race. I will be supporting him when he is in the race, but I'm also going to be supporting him as his podiatrist. So it's a nice journey to see how podiatrists can support someone as they head into that long distance race. So stay tuned, guys, and hope you enjoy it. What's up, Russ?
This is pretty much like the side of the main pain there.
Yeah.
But under.
Alright, can you do just some double hopping on the ground? Does this induce any symptoms?
Not really. Oh, I can feel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much like right there.
Yeah. And now go doubles, start double, and then I want you to transfer into a single. 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. Point to where it's sore.
I can't feel that.
Didn't feel it?
No.
Go. I want you to go doubles, and then go 1, 2, 3. So a bit more of a bigger hop, okay? 1, 2, 3, stop.
It's not like pain, but I can still feel it in the same spot.
Okay, you did? There you go. Okay, so come up onto the toes again, just like you did. And then down. Good. And again.
Struck him here.
Yeah. Yeah. One more time. Keep going. Good. So I've just wrapped up with Macca, and you'll see that I went through a fair few assessments there just to see if we can get really on track with the diagnosis. So what he's dealing with, or what I think he's dealing with, is that he has some synovitis of his first MTPJ, and he also has some medial shin pain, which I'm thinking is some medial tibial stress syndrome. Now, what I'm really wary of with Macaulay is ensuring that we've got the diagnosis correct, especially for that medial shin. So whenever there's a thought or a presentation of one-sided shin pain, my thought originally or straight away goes to, are we dealing with a bone stress injury here, or are we dealing with medial tibial stress syndrome? Now, what you'll notice is that I actually drew out his pain zone, and there's a little bit of literature around to suggest that if the pain zone is greater than 5 centimeters, then we're very likely to be dealing with medial tibial stress syndrome, as opposed to a tibial stress reaction or a bone injury. But I always like to have a bit of a thought in the back of my head that it could be a bone stress injury. And his symptom pattern and his response to what we're doing will actually tell the picture with that one. But I always want to make sure that that is something that we're not dealing with here. When we are looking at medial tibial stress syndrome, there's some big key things that I focus on. Now, the biggest thing is that I actually want to try and reduce plantar flexion loading. Now, what plantar flexion loading is it's the amount of loading that's being delivered from your calf muscle. So your calf is your gastroc, the soleus, and also the deep flexors that sit right behind the shin bone. Plantar flexion loading is different to tibia force or shin bone force. Macca did suggest that he is painful running downhill and he can feel that through his shin, but I believe that that's more tibia force that's giving a symptom, as opposed to plantar flexion loading that might actually be, causing some of the medial tibial stress syndrome. Things that increase plantar flexion loading is anything that involves more calf use. So running up hills, hopping, jumping, things that involve the calf is what I'm talking about for your plantar flexion loading. So the big strategies that we're going to start off with Macaulay is that we're going to get him into a higher drop shoe. So we're trying to see if we can elevate his heel compared to his forefoot, which generally deloads the calf muscles and therefore will deload the plantar flexion force. From there, we'll consider, is there a rocker availability with the shoes that Macaulay is using? He's currently running in Mizuno's, so we have a bit of a look through the range and see if there's anything with a little bit more of a forefoot rock or some forefoot stiffness that's going to reduce load through his first MTPJ or his big toe where he's dealing with that synovitis and the inflammation, but can also have a concurrent effect and reduce the plantar flexion loading. So that's something that we're going to have a look at, see what's in his shoe wardrobe. He tends to have a fair few shoes that he floats between, which is fine. I'm happy with the shoe rotation. From there, we're also going to have a bit of a look and say, what about his loading can we change? And that is things like, can we get him running a little bit more flat ground as opposed to hills, simply to reduce his plantar flexion loading. I'm not running his programming at all. I'm not a running coach. I am a podiatrist, but we will have a bit of a chat to his coach just to see if we can get him running on a lot more flat ground for the next 14 days to reduce that plantar flexion loading and see if we can reduce the amount of force that's going through that medial tibia. Then from there, the last thing we're going to have a bit of a look at is seeing if we can improve the function of his foot overall. So you'll see in some of the assessments, especially the double calf raise assessing on the close-up, that when I was testing his foot with different pulls in terms of using a double calf raise or stabilizing with the band, that he does have a lot of involvement of his lesser digits. Now, Macca said to me that he feels he's not loading his first MTPJ really well, or he's not loading that big toe joint really well. And so what I had a bit of a look at was a few strategies to see if we can stabilize that or get his foot to stabilize on the forefoot better, which does come from perineal involvement. So perineal longus attaches on the outside of the knee and it travels down and the tendon inserts right up in the first ray or behind the big toe. Behind the big toe joint in the midfoot. Macca has reported a bit of a history of issues with the perineals over, through this year. So there could be a bit of a play there that they may be impacting on it. So basically we're going to go through some very basic rehabilitation to ensure that he's loading that first really well and ensuring he's getting the stability of the first ray as he's moving and he's walking. So that's more to do with foot function as opposed to the medial tibial stress, but I think it's an important component of what's going on and is at play here. So the next time I'm going to review Macaulay is in 2 weeks' time. He is away racing at the moment, so although he's running 160Ks, he's also a full-time Supercars Racer. So that's something that we're going to do in terms of a review point is in 2 weeks. We'll check in, see if he's got the improvement that we wanted to ensure the diagnosis. Otherwise, we'll actually ship him off to get an MRI of that shin just to make sure that it's not a tibial bone stress injury as opposed to medial tibial stress syndrome. So we'll have a check-in in 2 weeks, guys. If you like the video, feel free to subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions, and we'll keep you updated along the journey to the miler. Thanks, guys.